took a short hiatus, if you will, from the series that I was doing about HaLeigh Cummings. Really, to be honest with you, there are so many stories in the media right now with missing children and women and just a lot of cases that really tug at your heartstrings and draw your attention. As I was observing a lot of these cases, I thought back to HaLeigh and where things stand all these years later, because really, you know, she would be an adult now. She missed out on all of her teenage years and life, and most people are assuming that she is no longer alive, but there are family members and people who knew her who are holding out that hope still after all these years that she is alive. And so I really wanted to make sure that I came back to this and just talked a little bit more about this case. I had previously left off wanting to focus on Misty Croslin, and so that's where we're going to jump back in today and discuss Misty and a little bit more about her background and what role she played or may not have played in HaLeigh Cummings' disappearance. So let's jump right in. Now, Misty Croslin was born on December 9th, 1991. She was born in Michigan. Her parents are Hank Sr. and Lisa Croslin. Her mother, Lisa Croslin, has passed away. She died of cancer. So take a listen to this interview that Art Harris did with Lisa Croslin and Lindsay Croslin, Tommy Croslin's wife.
She said that the girls, it was her, Junior, said that HaLeigh, they were all in the bed. Well, what she meant was they were all in the bedroom together, but HaLeigh was on a small, like taller size mattress down at the foot of the bed by the TV, watching TV. Junior was in the bed with Misty. Yeah, they didn't, I guess they had an argument over what movie they wanted to watch, and the movie that she said she put in wasn't in when she got up. So HaLeigh must have gotten up and changed it and put her movie in after Misty had went to sleep. But I know the little girl, I knew it too well. She would not just get up and walk out that door in the middle of the night by herself. Right, she is not scared of Lindsay's van. If somebody went down there in that van right there and said, "Do you want to go Lindsay's and play on the trampoline?" She'd hop in that van in a heartbeat and win.
What movie was in there?
The movie that was in there when they woke up that morning was the dog movie with the...
Dalmatians?
No, the Snow Buddies.
Snow Buddies.
Snow Buddies was, yeah, and that's the movie that HaLeigh wanted to watch that night.
She told me when she woke up, she always keeps the lights out. She said she woke up and she noticed she was going to go to the bathroom, but she noticed that the kitchen light was on. And she said before she made it around the corner, because you had to like go around the corner, she noticed that the back door was open, and that's when she ran back to the bedroom, and HaLeigh wasn't in there. She went to HaLeigh's room, she wasn't in there, so that's when she started calling. They all were in the bedroom, the same bedroom. But HaLeigh was on a little taller mattress on the floor in front of the TV. And Junior, they had a TV in the living room, and I guess he wanted to stay up and watch TV in there. But Junior and Misty was in the bed, and HaLeigh was on the floor watching it, whatever movie she was watching. That's what I understood.
It was just a different sleeping pattern. That's all it was. Is the first pattern was that she was, in the bed with Misty, and then the second story was that she was sleeping on a mattress. But I don't know for sure if that was Misty's mistake on the story or if it had been turned around by the media too.
Yeah, misunderstood.
Right.
Did you watch the Today Show?
I did.
I didn't. Was she on that?
I watched it on.
I know she's supposed to be home today.
How do you think she did?
I think she was very quiet. Of course, we almost have to tell her to watch what she says. Not because she's hiding anything, but that it just gets so mixed up, and then they start asking more questions and accusing her of more stuff. She's just tired. She just doesn't want to talk anymore.
And I told her straight up, I was like, Miss, if you don't need a lawyer and you don't want to talk to these people, you tell them when you're tired. And they had to bring you home. They had her up there for like 14 hours one day.
The media?
The police. Yeah, John Merchant, I think is his last name.
Had Have they been treating her like?
No, she said they treat her good. They said, and Ronald said they treat him good when he's.
But at one point, she had said that when Misty was growing up, that Lisa was a terrible mother and a drug addict. And that's really been a common theme around Misty's childhood. Apparently, she grew up in campgrounds. There is a lot of discussion about her being a victim of SA from the ages of 7 to 14. She actually gave a very emotional jailhouse interview about this, where she talked about the things she had endured as a child, and she was extremely emotional about this.
I mean, I had an okay childhood, I guess you can say, but it wasn't the best. Mom and Dad did try to provide for us, but they were strung out on drugs and alcoholics. We were living in Flagler County, and that's where I got raped, and that's when I stopped going to school. You know, I felt ashamed because I couldn't get up and read. In front of the class, I felt ashamed because I didn't know half the stuff the kids know, because my family didn't sit with me and work with me. They were too worried about drugs.
She stopped going to school, and at age 15, she took off to New Jersey. So it's said that she had a 7th grade education, but that she really had a 3rd grade reading level. So at 15, she takes off to New Jersey. She did care for her grandmother for a period of time, and eventually she ended up in Florida and living with her brother Tommy and his wife Lindsay. While she was living with Tommy, she would help out by taking her nephew to the bus stop for school in the mornings, and that was where she met Ronald. Ronald would be at the bus stop dropping off HaLeigh. Misty would be at the bus stop dropping off her nephew, and so her and Ronald met that way. The story goes on to say that they started dating and that Misty moved in with Ronald. Now, one of the things that really has bothered me about this case is the age difference between Misty and Ronald. And maybe it wasn't seen as such a big deal at the time, and now because of cancel culture and a lot of stigmas out there, I think that we look at this a lot differently, and realizing that Ronald was 26 years old and Misty was 17. He was going to work and leaving her home to, quote unquote, babysit his 2 children that he had at the time, HaLeigh and her brother. And so that initially, when you think about that dynamic and the age difference and the fact that Misty was a minor with a very low education, with a very bad background filled with drugs and SA and different things of that nature, it just was not a good environment from the start. Now, let's talk about the drugs that were floating around Florida at this time. So in 2010, the opiate epidemic really took hold in Florida. It was a big, big deal. One of the biggest reasons is there were something called pill mills. So essentially, people could literally walk into a walk-in pain clinic with these pill doctors and walk right out of the clinic with a bag of pills in hand. Eventually, people were selling these pills on the street. It just ended up a huge crisis. There are very bad statistics on DHS involvement and how many children were taken away because of opiates and neglect and abuse taking place in homes. And obviously, this is something that is still affecting the United States today. A lot of these missing children's cases, abuse cases, children who have been murdered by parents or caregivers, a lot of times there are opiates involved. And so this held true for, it seems to be, all of the inner circle between Misty Croslin and Ronald Cummings. All of their associates and friends and family really seemed to be somewhere involved in the drugs, specifically pills, and using and buying and selling pills. Inevitably, that is what landed Misty in prison where she sits today. But we're going to go ahead and back up just a little bit. We're going to talk about right around the time that HaLeigh went missing. So it's said that a week before HaLeigh went missing, Misty had taken off with her friend Christina, and Christina and Misty had gone out partying. Now, it's said that during this time, Misty ended up involved with a guy or messing around with a guy that she was partying with. And so this all was something that kind of was building up to that week of HaLeigh's disappearance. It's said that Ronald and Misty had a huge fight. Christina Privet, also nicknamed Nene, picks up Misty. They go out partying, gone for a week. Misty is, said to be messing around with a guy by the name of Greg Page. And eventually Misty goes back home. Now, throwing a whole other curveball into this story is the fact that Ronald was dating someone a short time before Misty, and her name is Amber Brooks. Now, Ronald and Amber had a child together, and that child was disabled. And so I don't know the story on what the status is of that child as it stands today, but the last time that I can find any discussion over that child, it appeared that Amber's mother, Mary, was raising that child. It also sounds like Amber's mother did not trust Ronald nor Misty. She, in fact, had called the police on them. There's a 911 tape out there. I can always link to that in the description below, but there is a lot of... It doesn't seem like Ronald was really acknowledging that child as being his, or maybe, him and Amber were not qualified to take care of a child with disabilities, especially if both of them were dabbling in drugs. But funny thing is that Amber Brooks and Misty's friend Christina Privet were friends as well, and doing a lot of hanging out together. And I think it kind of just goes to show that there was a huge drug connection all around. If you take a look, you can find stories of both of these ladies being arrested for drugs. And so they all lived close by to one another. They all seem to have the same inner circle, and the connection seems to be opiates. So the night of February 9th, Misty says that it was just her and HaLeigh and HaLeigh's brother at home in their trailer in Satsuma, Florida, in Putnam County, and that they had gone to bed, and that she had woken up in the middle of the night somewhere on February 10th, early morning. She had gone into the kitchen because the kitchen light was on, and she had realized HaLeigh was missing. She claims that she called Ronald up to 20 times, and that Ronald came home within 5 minutes. He's not answering the phone to all 20 of these phone calls, but then at some point he comes home, and she said that he looked like he was quote unquote messed up on drugs. There's another interview out there that I was referencing previously with Misty where it's a jailhouse interview, and she's explaining that Ronald had a bad temper. He was very abusive with her. She said he would beat up on her and the kids when he was messed up on pills. And so Ronald has never really been the focus of a suspect necessarily in HaLeigh's disappearance. He has an alibi. He was at work at the time. But I don't think that we can, disagree that there was some sort of abuse, domestic violence, child abuse going on in the home. If you look at my prior videos, there are photos of HaLeigh with black eyes and bruised and really kind of looking beat up. And so that had to have come from somewhere. And we know that at the time she was not in her mother's custody. She was living with Ronald and with Misty. And so we definitely know that there were some troubles within the home and unhealthy living conditions. So let's talk a little bit more about what might have happened to HaLeigh in the role that Misty played. So Misty has two brothers, Tommy and Timmy. Tommy was married to Lindsay. I haven't been able to confirm if they are still married or not. And Timmy was married to Chelsea. Now, Chelsea and Timmy have since divorced, and he is in a new relationship or remarried. As far as Chelsea goes, I don't see much information out there on where she is. I would like to better understand or know where she's at, because I feel like she could fill in some missing gaps in this story. So if any of you have any details on where Chelsea Crossland is, if you could drop that in the comments below. But back during all of the investigation, there was a lot of rumors and a lot of speculation out there on what happened to HaLeigh. So Chelsea had claimed that she and Timmy got a frantic phone call the night of HaLeigh's disappearance. It sounds like that phone call was from Misty. I haven't really got a lot of information about what this was over. Why did she call in such a panic, or why did she need them? With that said, there has been rumors that Timmy had left to go and check on Misty. I don't think that happened. What I do believe to be true is the rumor about the cousin, Joe Overstreet. So apparently, cousin Joe was staying with Timmy and Chelsea at the time. And there have been a lot of rumors that he and Tommy Crossland, Misty's other brother, had showed up over at Ronald and Misty's trailer, and that they together did something to HaLeigh. So at one point it was said that Misty had woken up and seen Joe standing over HaLeigh's bed. Then it was also said that Tommy or Joe had strangled HaLeigh and put her into a black trash bag and disposed of her in the water, and that she was weighted down by cinder blocks. The question is why? Why in the world would Tommy Crossland, Joe Overstreet, Misty Croslin, Timmy Croslin, why would any of them harm this child? And this is where it gets muddy, because it really doesn't seem like there's any kind of motive to intentionally bring harm upon this child. So then you kind of go back to the drug topic. Could this be a drug deal gone bad? Could it be a drug debt? Could it be a kidnapping to try to get money back? There was lots of rumors about drugs and a gun that was a dispute, and that Ronald wasn't going to give this gun back. And as a punishment or collateral for this gun, that Joe Overstreet helped Tommy in getting rid of HaLeigh. I just don't see how anyone in this family has not turned on one another, if that was in case the truth. And so the next question is, well, what else could have happened? So there's also rumors that HaLeigh maybe got into some of the drugs within the home and she overdosed. And so in a panic, because she was under Misty's care, Misty contacted her brothers to help her because she was terrified of what might happen, and that they came rushing to her aid to assist because HaLeigh overdosed and died. So that's another rumor that's out there. Who knows if that really happened? It certainly is possible that it was something accidental. However, on April 8th, Tommy Crossland took a polygraph. And it was a short time after him taking this polygraph that he took investigators down to the Shell Harbor boat ramp, and they conducted a 3-day search. Now, there had to be some sort of validity to something that Tommy told these investigators in order for them to make such an extensive search. They were diving into the water to look for HaLeigh's body. Now, also, Misty Crossland's grandmother, Flora Hollers, really spent a lot of time deeply involved in HaLeigh's disappearance and wanting to get answers. She stated that she had phone conversations with both Misty Croslin and Tommy Crossland while they were in jail, and they both told her that cousin Joe Overstreet is the one who killed HaLeigh and disposed of her body. So regardless of these searches, HaLeigh's body was never found, and Joe Overstreet was never arrested. I will tell you that he was questioned several times by investigators, and if you hop onto social media, you can find his profile pretty easily, and it doesn't seem like he has too good of a record as well. It is certainly possible that he, along with Misty and Ronald and Tommy and Timmy and Christina and Amber and all of these associates, that he was troubled and that he had some baggage that he was carrying. I could also see that he could have had some sort of a blow up or falling out with Ronald over this firearm, this gun. And I could also see that there was some sort of a dispute over drugs. With that said, I don't think anyone really knows what exactly took place, except for these people who are the true players in this story. Now, after HaLeigh's disappearance, Misty and Ronald got married, and inevitably they got into a vehicle on some sort of a drug deal with pills, which was a setup, and they were busted and charged. And at this time, Ronald, Tommy, and Misty Croslin are all doing time in prison. Ronald and Tommy both receiving 15 years, and Misty receiving 25 years. To this day, there are no answers on what happened to HaLeigh Cummings. It is certainly possible that she has grown up and she is alive somewhere. Maybe she was trafficked for drug money. Maybe she was kidnapped. It is certainly possible that an accident happened and that she was injured or had overdosed on drugs that were left out in the home. The discussion of guns also being a topic. She could have potentially gotten into a firearm. I don't think that there was any kind of forensic evidence that would lead anyone to believe those things happened. As a matter of fact, I don't think there was any appearance of struggle or violence or blood or anything of that nature within the home. So could this have been a abduction? Could HaLeigh have gotten out of the home? Could Misty have been out partying and something had happened and she was not there? All of that is possible. Could Tommy and Joe Overstreet have killed HaLeigh and dumped her body into the water and had her held down by cinder blocks? Absolutely. All of these things could have taken place, but I don't think we have any more answers now today than we did 10 years ago. My hope is that when Ronald and Tommy get out of prison, that will kind of stir things up and bring this case to the light and surface again and have some more relevance to current events so that HaLeigh's face is out there and maybe someone who didn't want to speak up all those years ago might speak up now and do the right thing for HaLeigh. And of course, we've got Misty Croslin. She sits in prison. She was charged with a much longer sentence than the others who were involved in the same crimes that she was charged with. And, many people think she is the key to all of this and that she holds the answers. And maybe, just maybe she does. And I hope that if she does, that she stands up for HaLeigh and she tells the truth. In the meantime, I am going to conclude this by saying my thoughts and prayers are with HaLeigh and her siblings, and I really hope that there are some answers for HaLeigh's mother, because I know that this has got to be something that has been very painful for her in her life. And I am planning to move forward from this series and actually start talking about a little more current cases. But as soon as anything new comes to light with HaLeigh's story, I certainly will be doing a video on it. Thank you all for joining. If you or anyone you know has any information to provide regarding HaLeigh Cummings and her disappearance, please call 888-277-8477. Again, that's 888-277-8477. Thank you.